This week on Barbell Shrugged, we interview the 8th fittest woman in the world, Michelle Kinney.
I'm back, bitches!
Don't call it a comeback. I've been paid for years.
Alright, here we go. In 3, 2,
Get people distracted.
Shaka bra.
Welcome to Barbell Shrugged. I'm Mike Bledsoe here with Doug Larson and Chris Moore with our guest Michelle Kinney.
Hey guys.
CrossFit Games with 8th place finisher.
That's right.
That's awesome. 8th out of the whole world. We're going to be interviewing her today. Before we get to that, I want to remind you guys to go to barbellshrugged.com, sign up for the newsletter. A lot of interesting things going on. I'm not going to mention them all here and waste everyone's time, but if you're interested in that stuff.
So
because
only
everything we
marginally interesting, really. Okay, just to me, it's interesting.
Everything we talk about on here is interesting, but not the stuff we newsletter about. So no, I'm just kidding. Really cool stuff going on all the time. You might be listening to this 6 months down the road. That's why we say just sign up for the newsletter, because 6 months from now you might hear this, and we might be doing some new stuff at that time. So it would be irrelevant. That's why, Chris. Jeez.
I understand, bro.
Second
makes you
thing,
sleep good at night.
we do have, even though we're talking about relevance.
Yeah, after all that, I was like waiting for you to say this.
We have Brian McKenzie coming to town September 21st and 22nd, do a CrossFit endurance cert at CrossFit Chickasaw,
Yeah.
Michelle's gym.
Yeah.
Our gyms are like 5 miles from each other. So Brian McKenzie's going to come over to Faction on Saturday night, and we're going to do a live audience podcast. So if you're in the Memphis area, come hang out, watch it live. You'll be able to ask some questions and stuff like that. We've never done this before. We may never do it again. So
It just depends how things happen.
You might want to show up.
Are we having booze and food and such?
Let's do it.
I'm not going to make any too big a promise. I can provide beer.
All right, we need to make it a party. If that's we need to do the whole thing, probably.
Okay, we'll have a good time.
Let's just have a throwdown.
We'll just say that it'll be a good time. I don't want to make any big promises right off the top of my head.
There
Something
may
I
or may
regret.
not be strippers, may or may not be bro or hookers or whatever. Well, come and be surprised. At least there'll be Bud Light. Warm,
You'll never know.
Warm, tepid Bud Light from a opened keg. At least.
At least.
At least that much.
I'll bring potato chips for the endurance girls.
For the endurance girls.
Drills.
Oh, drills.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, I thought she said girls too.
For the girls.
The endurance girls. I love those potato chips. I'm like, all
I was
right.
like, I didn't know that.
There's something about the endurance community I know nothing about.
Is that some things that we need to refeed because we're running tomorrow? So this is a carb source for us.
Yes.
And sit on the couch and munch.
Is Lay's the best? So what is that exactly you're talking about?
Just so you don't squeeze your hands when you run. That's wasted energy. So just relax grip like you're holding a potato chip.
I do the whole like this.
Meh.
Can you actually do that by holding
I
a
run
real
like
potato? Is that a reasonable coaching cue? That
I don't know. It's just a coaching cue I've heard. I like just a
Man.
relaxed thumb position,
I'm
but
just seeing some overweight poor son of a bitch running down the road holding 2 potato chips like, don't eat the chips, you're trying to be fit. Don't eat the chips. He come back, he's got bite wounds on his thumbs. I got tired out there and desperate. I got a mile in and I thought all was lost.
It's like exercise for your willpower as
test
well.
of self-discipline.
Oh shit.
Oh, so all right. So you placed 8th place at the games this year.
Yes.
CTB's back there laughing. The year before, you didn't make it.
Oh man.
It was almost.
What a bummer.
I was about to say.
Well, to even go back further, you were a games athlete,
Yes.
and then you didn't make it, and then you made it again.
Right.
You had to like kind of reevaluate your whole life.
Yeah, but last year it was like
Kinda, it's like a
expected.
Rocky
It was
movie.
like last year was like Michelle Kinney's gonna go to games, of course.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where you had already been before and done really well, and I was like, well, she'll just make it again.
Right.
And then when it didn't happen, it was like, oh.
Well, is that just it? Did you think you deserved it?
No, I didn't think I did. Well, I probably thought I deserved it. I didn't necessarily expect it, but the thought didn't cross my mind too often that I wouldn't make it. It just seemed like during the Open, and I knew better than to make this mistake, but during the 2012 Open, it was like a clear top 3, and all the events. So open workouts 1 through 5, it was Julie Fouché, Lindsay Smith, and me, and there was like a huge gap between us and anybody else. So I thought it was just going to be a matter of who placed first, second, or third, and I thought that was kind of it. But in the back of my mind, I knew that you don't ever want to like just think that you got it, but I kind of thought that I had it, but that didn't mean I wasn't working hard, trying to do the best that I could. But there was kind of a shitstorm leading up to that anyway, so it was like the perfect storm, I guess is what I called it.
Some factors came together that manifested
So what does that mean, though?
reality.
Is that something you want to talk about, or is that a secret?
I mean, I guess no, it's not a secret. I blogged about it, but just had quite a hectic beginning of the 2012. That's when I was trying to open CrossFit Chickasaw, and that's pretty stressful.
That's what I hear. Yeah. Starting new businesses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can
It's
learn more
not
about that on
easy.
the Barbell
Yeah.
Business Podcast.
And I knew it would be stressful, and I guess I just didn't think that it would impact me and my energy levels the way it did, but it did. I don't want to be like that's the reason why I didn't make it.
I mean,
but
people forget, man, that they assume that things going on in your life that aren't training related won't affect your training, even though you can't separate these things from who you are as a person. So of course, stress manifests as everything you give to that thing you can't give to your training. It's just how it goes. People forget that.
No doubt. And I mean, if you're not excited to train, then that was another part of it. I was taking on each training session like it was my job, not something that I enjoyed or had fun with. So the fun eluded me as well. And but I had the opportunity to train a lot because I didn't have a job. So and then, which of course comes with not having a job, not having a paycheck, and there's stressors related to that. But then
but see, people beg for that. They go, if I could just train full time, I would do all this shit. Don't you hear that every day? Like, oh, you're so lucky.
Yeah.
If I could train like Rich Froning, I'd be Rich Froning.
I feel
You
like
delusional asshole. No, you wouldn't.
some people walk in the gym like, if I could train as many times as you do, I'm like, okay, let's do that. Let's see.
Say you can.
Yeah.
Like anyone can do it.
Yeah.
They just have to set things up.
Yeah.
But so love and passion and considering how your life is balanced is as important as anything you do with a barbell. People just forget how important it is.
It really does have an impact. But, completing 2011 was my second year at the games. I was a little bit disappointed with my finish at the games. But then, after 2012, I was like, that idiot. I would have loved to just been at the games in 2012. And so it kind of was a lesson learned. But my training took a big turn. And then I didn't really have... I didn't have the time for that to actually come to fruition in 2012. So I had a change in coaching, but that started in January. So I had from January to May to kind of get my shit together. Wasn't a lot of time to fix the big, gigantic holes that I had. So we filled them in a little bit, but then 2012 regionals was pretty heavy, or at least for me, and that was kind of like the nail in the coffin right there. So
That was kind of your weakness was...
it continues to be, but it's definitely...
That's the hard thing for you, is just the absolute strength side of things.
The absolute strength, or it's improved, but the 30 hang cleans at 135.
Oh yeah.
And then the 70-pound dumbbell. So it wasn't like the 1 rep max event. I always anticipate doing poorly on that one. But the other events that they throw at you, that's more of a test of conditioning. But if I can't pick up the barbell and move it,
Just heavy.
regardless of how big my gas tank is, doesn't matter. So that was a huge hole.
We saw it this year when what's his name did those deadlifts at the end of the men's competition with I forget the names. I'm just a power lifter, meathead. The seal.
Oh, Josh Bridges?
Josh
Yeah, we was like
Bridges,
trying to pick up 405. And how much does that guy weigh? 170.
165, something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
just like
He's little.
You got a big motor, but not enough horsepower. It sucks, man. It's just
they
not
went
fair.
super heavy on those
Yeah,
deadlifts.
it's like you can or you can't. It's just that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter.
The one of the girls at that moment too, where she kept, God bless her, man. She kept trying, like repeatedly. She's, I'm just not gonna stop. I'm just gonna pull this until something pops.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's like, but it just ain't gonna happen. God bless the effort.
Yeah, for sure.
What was the weight for the ladies on that last one?
265.
265.
So five sets of 5 at 265.
How'd you do on that one?
I did fine. I'm fine with
Good job.
deadlifts.
How heavy was the deadlift box jump workout at regionals?
At regionals, 205 or 225. 205, I
I
think.
feel like you did really well at that WOD, right?
Yeah, I won that one.
Yeah, you crushed that WOD.
Yeah, it's excellent. Shit.
Yeah.
So it used to be a weakness, has kind of become, well, maybe not a strength.
It's not a strength, but it's not the big.
You're
Not a
scared of
strength
it.
for you.
Yeah.
A lot stronger than other ladies.
It's funny because there's a horrendous picture of me in 2011 on the rope climb clean ladder event where the clean got heavier, but you did fewer reps. And the 155 I failed the first rep of, and then I finally got it, but you see my legs as wide as can be. It's like this nasty catching position. And then there's a picture of me at the clean ladder in this year, 2013, at 195. Same position, but it's 40 pounds heavier.
If it makes you feel any better, if it makes you feel any better, almost any picture ever taken of me ever is unflattering. So you feel like you're still doing all right?
Yeah, I'm not worried about the flattering part, but it's just like, yeah, my technique still sucks. I've gotten stronger though.
Yeah.
What's changed? What changes did you make? What goals did you set between 2012 and 2013, and how did you attack that, I guess?
After 2012, it was a very big pill to swallow. It was a couple months where I just kind of didn't like CrossFit and didn't want to train and had this kind of resentment towards it. And then finally, friend of mine, Maria, was kind of like, are you going to do any off-season competitions? And I was like, I don't know, kind of down on myself, didn't think that I would was good enough anymore. Like I was having that type of self-doubt. And Summer Crush Games was coming up, and I was like, what the hell, I'm just gonna go do it and see what happens. And I finished second, like a point behind Andrea Ager, so that was helped provide some confidence. Like I was like, okay, I can still do this, I just need to kind of get my mind right and like start going towards these goals and kind of find the fun back into the sport. So from there, with CJ Martin, he always his like motto is full effort, full victory, and I guess I kind of more took that on as my personal way of living and way of going about just my competition. And but literally having that mentality of if this is literally the best that you can do, then you should be satisfied with the outcome, because you don't have control over how your competitors do or what program or what workouts they throw at you or how heavy that barbell ends up being. But as long as you give it your full effort, then you should be happy with that. So
when did you start with him?
I started in January 2012, but it took a while to kind of understand what he was, the way he goes about things, and kind of accepting his approach, but then also his credo. Like you gotta, like, because after after regionals, we had a conversation, and I was, obviously really disappointed, and he was just like, you did the best you could, this is just, you can't control what happens. And I was just like, whatever, like I just wasn't hearing it. But then finally something got through to me, whether it was going to team competitions with some of the Invictus people and just being around them more, and then going to the athlete camp. It really started to be like, oh, I get it now. Like, this is the mentality that I need, not this every day I have to crush myself or PR or do the best that I can. And if I, have a bad workout, it ruins my day type thing.
You started showing yourself some compassion and kindness.
A little bit. So
it rewarded you with actually showing some good, getting you back to the games.
Sure.
It's amazing how that happens.
Yeah, I was like, I had bad workouts. I'd be like, oh, well.
I'm amazed at how often people do this, and it's the easiest thing to do. It's scary how easy it is to do that. One little acute event goes not like you perfectly planned it, training being that one, and all of a sudden you feel like now you are a failure. That is such a thin margin for reasonable patience with yourself. Like, oh, no matter how little I ate, how loud my baby screamed all night long, and how bad work was, I expect to fucking crush this wad. That's just so unfair sometimes. It's not going to happen every day.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I don't know that being fresh, I would have done any differently at regionals, but it was, I guess, like, I wasn't like afterwards, it was like, oh, you got to be fired up now. I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I don't even know if I want to continue to do this anymore. But it took some pushing and nudging from those close to me to like get me back into the swing of things. And then CJ really helped with that, as far as like being just that supportive coach, and just, it was always like, hey champ, how you doing? And constant positive, because I'm my biggest critic. anything that I do badly, I'm hard on myself. So
Yeah.
nobody else needs to be. I don't need that person screaming at you fucked hard. Like,
Yeah.
I'm already yelling that at myself.
Coach, what do you think I did? You're a piece of shit. Thanks, Coach. I guess I'll try harder now.
Yeah.
Coach, you go ahead.
I was reading some sports psychology stuff a while back, and they were talking about, they were looking at the athletes that were the most successful, and they all had, it's kind of hard to tell what they're thinking in their heads, like in between some, say, tennis players. They just between having a successful match and a not so successful match. The ones that happened to be the most successful most of the time, the best ones, did the same exact thing in between sets. They went through the same exact rituals and stuff like that. So, I'm sure there's an emotional thing tied into those physical acts. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
So, like, if you have a bad workout and then you throw a temper tantrum and throw your shit down and all that kind of stuff, you're now
all of us.
You're now doing that thing that's no longer a good rejuvenation ritual.
Yeah.
But I think a more experienced athlete, like, the key there is like doing the same thing after you work out every time. If you have a bad workout, don't go slam a beer instead of
Sure,
a good place to work out, shake. You know what I mean? So just the little things.
Right. If I remember the details from that, I think that was in the Powerful Engagement. Was that right?
Yeah.
And he was talking about how the most elite tennis players, they would turn away from the net, and he was basically suggesting that those guys were able to forget about what just happened.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not a big deal. It's in the past, and now they would be able to just focus on what's coming up next.
Right.
And they would do that after every single set.
Yeah.
And so not being consumed
Whether it was a
by
good
the
or
past.
bad match.
Yeah,
Right.
good or bad. They were just like, okay, it's already happened. It's over. Doesn't matter what it was. Next thing.
Yeah, that's actually a great thing to kind of compare my two regionals from 2012 2013. 2012 it opened with Jackie. No, not Jackie. That was this year. Diane.
Right.
Which one is
Can't
it?
keep them all
What
straight.
life did you
What
live?
girl? It was Diane. Deadlifts and handstand push-ups, which I'm like, I'm going to fucking crush this. And I'm going to start off on a good note. Well, I bombed.
Oh, really?
And it was really...
And now the thoughts start, right? Now the engine starts churning.
I think I got 8th in that event at regionals, which should not have been the case. And I was just freaking out from there on. So it was like pressing and like stressed from there. Like, I have to do better at these events that I'm not going to be so great at because I fucked up in the event that I was supposed to be good at. And Lizzie Smith's going to beat me in this event, no doubt. And like, just all those thoughts literally went
Somewhere
through my
Matt
head.
Barrett's like, no way, this is what I do. Cool. No way, not cool.
Yeah. So the difference being,
Sorry, dude.
we opened. Poor Matt.
Yeah, we love him. That's why you fuck with him.
So yeah, that's very, very true. And then like this year it opened with Jackie, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do at this. And then I ended up getting second, and I was like, sweet. So that kind of eased my nerves going into the overhead absolute strength event.
Yeah.
And there was some drama there whether I was gonna open with a 175 bar or the 155, and I had the cushion to open with 155, and it ended up being fine, and I was good and relatively fresh for the Burpee muscle ups, which I finished lower than I thought I would, but we had 5 women finish that event, and I don't think any other region saw more than 1 or 2 finish the event.
Yeah.
So it was just a crazy
event.
Yeah, I did too, but like afterwards, after day 1, I look back, I'm sitting in, I was tied for 3rd, but I would have lost a tiebreaker, but just kind of like, my strongest day is day 3, and kind of looking forward, not turning around, looking at the net, so to speak. So that was I didn't consciously do that, but it went that way. So
nothing you could have planned. Like going into it, you planned it as good as any qualified coach and athlete could have had a plan.
Yeah.
And that who would have thought in this one instance there'd be so many ass kickers just showing up and manifesting, and everything was working for them. Like, you can't control it. There's no sense in getting uptight about it.
Exactly. So not looking at the net.
And you have a solid endurance background before you started CrossFit, right?
Correct.
Just briefly before I ask my question, like what exactly did you do in the endurance world?
Oh, okay. Well, I ran cross country for St. Benedict here in Memphis and played softball. I ran cross country kind of against my will, but it was my first race my freshman year. I finished 2nd on the team, and Coach Bingham picked me up and swung me around and was like, "You're going to be a runner," and I was like, "Damn it!"
It's like the worst nightmare of things to happen in my life.
Because I had ran cross country in 7th grade and didn't like it.
You're really good at something that sucks.
Yeah, it's not fun. But anyway, I went on to I won state as a sophomore and did really well and got a lot of attention from college coaches for distance running, so I went to Mississippi State on a track and cross country scholarship.
Made your parents super happy.
Yeah, it did. So I wanted to play softball, but wasn't getting the scholarships for that. So after 2 years of running track and battling with stress-related injuries, Achilles tendonitis, stress fractures in my feet, I was like, I'm going to switch to softball. And then I ended up playing softball, having a grand old time, and kept my scholarship, so that was pretty cool. And then
wow, sweet.
Softball coach was like, yeah, I'll put you on scholarship. I'm like, sweet. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's my endurance background. So
It sounds like a Bo Jackson type accomplishment. Like,
Yeah.
I'll just casually play all these sports at Division I school.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
I grew up playing softball, so that was one thing I had, and I love softball, so I was content with if I needed to ride in the bench or being a pinch runner, but it ended up I got some playing time, not a ton, but I was having fun with it. So
Did you win the softball throw
I did.
in the games 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2011.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when they said softball throw, I was like,
What?
You're
Like, oh,
fucking
thank
kidding
God.
me. That's awesome.
They should do a.
I'm going to win this event and it's not going to beat me up.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, totally.
Would you like to see them do like a T-ball hit for distance?
Yeah, or like home run derby or
But
something.
wouldn't that's kind of. Yeah, I'll be honest
Sounds
with you.
awesome.
I'll
T-ball
be
would
honest
be
with you. I think it's an incredible thing to be able to hit, even if it's the ball just sitting there, to be able to hit it for distance. To be
Yeah.
able, they should do like a golf ball drive for distance. That shit is hard.
It is hard. It's
You're gonna
accuracy.
do all the other silly shit. Why don't you do some other
Yeah.
silly shit too? It's all cool.
Yeah, you can all.
That would be a fun competition.
Yeah, I would love to see who could
CrossFitters.
drive a golf ball farthest.
Yeah,
That's-
CrossFitters golfing.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it any less interesting than jumping out of a fucking pool and doing pull-ups, which never is gonna fucking happen in your life?
That was strange.
I don't know. It'll happen.
That's right.
I've seen it
If
happen.
you make it to the game.
You've seen it
Yeah.
happen once in the game, yeah. But yeah, twisting and hitting with accuracy with power is a cool test. It's like we're having to chop up. Here's 10 trees. The first asshole to chop this tree down wins.
With
I like to
that
see
little
that.
rogue mallet.
That's right.
That's right.
They give you a hatchet, not
Yeah,
an
the
axe.
hatchet. Whatever.
Sweet.
No. That's what they should
Yeah,
give you.
Yeah.
So I actually didn't watch very much of the games this year because I was getting married in Colorado, and so
He was kinda
I
busy.
was tied up. I wasn't allowed to watch the games for the most part. So
I
actually,
understand.
So I actually didn't see how you did in the row, but I figured that might be something that wouldn't be so intimidating for you coming from an endurance background as some of the other athletes.
It wasn't, but then as a rower, it's measuring power output, so the bigger athlete's going to have a little bit easier time on it, but that endurance mentality definitely took me a long way on that. So I finished 17th in the 2K, which I was stoked with. Like, that's a sprint. I mean, everybody was sprinting the 2K.
What was your time?
7:47. So I PR'd my 2K
That's good.
on that.
That's good.
That's real good.
I was like killing myself. Like I was wheezing and
I wouldn't even row 7:47 if I knew I was gonna have to row for another hour and a half.
yeah. And so I just thought, and I knew that my endurance could kind of hold me because I've got an hour 37-minute half marathon run. So I was like, I'm gonna do well. But it did turn out that the bigger athletes still had an easier time on the row, so I ended up finishing 15th in the half
Yeah, I
marathon
noticed
row.
some athletes that weren't exactly known for their endurance, but were just bigger. Did well in that event.
You make that running, and it's a very different ball game. So for those big athletes, I can't
Oh, yeah, I'm
see.
sure.
As a
people
big
with
person, I agree that I would rather row than run.
yeah. So it's
It's lame.
yeah, I wasn't really intimidated by it. I was like, this is gonna suck, because because he was like, who's run a half marathon? And I was like, oh yeah. And he was like, who's rode one? I was like, no. It was like the biggest roller coaster of emotions at that one moment with Dave Castro's little grin. But that road taught me a lot about myself. That was very painful and very mind-numbing.
Did you look at your monitor the whole time, or
Yeah.
you did?
Well, because when I would look away and I'd peek back at it, I would drop 5 seconds off of my like 200 or 500 pace. So I was
Needed the
like,
pacing, huh?
I needed it, and like I wanted to
Dude.
Yeah.
go somewhere different, but no, I don't know. It ended up being all right. So I was wishing I was running at that moment, but
How bad was the ass cramp towards the end of that?
it didn't bother me until I got off the rower. And once I got off the rower, it was like I had a stick
you
shoved
could
up my
not
ass.
stand up straight, right? You could not.
No, I couldn't. And then they were telling us to get our bags and get out of there because there was some cycling event coming in. And I was like limping to my bags.
They go, we're the fittest people on earth. Oh, fuck. My back.
Can't stand up straight, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna take a break real quick, and then we'll be back.
All right.
Welcome back to Technique Quad. My name is Doug Larson with the Barbell Shrugged Podcast. Today we're going to talk about dumbbell snatches, which have been showing up more frequently in competitions around the country, and more specifically, they showed up at regionals this past year, and it caught a lot of people off guard. And the fact that they had never really practiced dumbbell snatches until they saw that they were programmed at that event. So we'll go over those here in just a second, but real quick I want to touch on why I like dumbbell snatches. I think they're great, especially for beginners, because they're not very technical. They're pretty easy to do, kind of like deadlifts aren't that technical, compared to snatches. You'll probably be able to learn deadlifts and do deadlifts very well before you can perfect your snatches and do your snatches perfectly. So I like dumbbell snatches in that respect. It's a fast, powerful movement, but it's pretty easy to learn compared to full snatches and full clean and jerks. Okay? So we'll go over the technique real quick. I like to have the dumbbell right in between my feet, and I like to have it this direction as opposed to this direction. So right between my feet, knees out, heels down, straight elbow. I'm going to stand just like a deadlift, right to here, and then when I go to jump, I'm going to shrug my shoulder and then pull myself under the weight just like I would if I was doing a snatch. So I'm here, catch, elbow all the way locked out, my knees are bent, my knees are out, my heels are on the ground, and my elbow is locked out, and the weight is right over my head. From there, I can just drop it right back down in between my feet. From the side, same thing. Knees out, heels down, my butt is right above my knees, my back is flat, and my arm is straight. And then from here, I can jump, catch the weight, locked out elbow, arm vertically right over my head, and I can just drop it right back down in between my feet. Okay? So again, it's a fast, powerful movement, similar to Olympic lifts, but much easier to do. Having just a dumbbell instead of a barbell makes it where I don't have to worry about the bar path. I don't have to worry about the bar in my knees and the bar hitting my knees. I can just pull it straight up, and I can kind of go right where my knees would be, and I don't get out of position. It's very similar to something like a hex bar or a trap bar jump in that respect, where it's very easy to do, and I don't have to worry about the bar path and about clearing my knees and then connecting with the bar at the right spot before I jump and shrug and catch it overhead. There was one more thing I was going to say. What was I going to say?
Single arm benefits?
That is another benefit. The fact that it is a single arm movement kind of automatically makes it a core stability type exercise. Anytime you have weight in one arm, it's wanting to pull me to the side, it's wanting to rotate me, and resisting that lateral bending and resisting that rotation is a big part of core stability type training. Since stability means not moving in the presence of potential change, basically you're strong enough to control the movement and strong enough to keep yourself from moving. It has a nice core stability benefit kind of built in because it's a heavy one-sided or asymmetric exercise. There's one other thing that I was going to say that I can't remember what it was. It's driving me nuts. Now I remember. Okay, what I was going to say was the Olympic lifts as a whole, the reason that most people do them is because they want to train to be explosive. And that basically means that they're training rate of force development. They want to be able to apply a lot of force very quickly, and that's what explosive exercise is basically all about. The inherent problem with weightlifting, cleans, jerks, and snatches is that they're technical movements, and you don't really get that training effect. You don't really get that power, that peak power, that explosiveness, or that improvement in rate of force development until you're actually pretty good at the lifts. When you're first learning, you're doing just the bar, you're really doing more technique stuff, and until you get to a certain level of proficiency, the athletic benefit doesn't really show up in the way of improved explosive power and rate of force development. You work on your mobility, you're working on your posturing and positioning, and that's all good stuff, but your rate of force development and your peak power output doesn't really change that much until you're pretty good at it. Okay? I figured I'd say that 3 times, that way you'd really get it. But while you're learning the Olympic weightlifting lifts, snatches, cleans, and jerks with a bar, doing dumbbell snatches is a great option because they're so easy to learn. You can load them up heavy. If you pull nice and heavy, you're here, and then you miss it. You can just drop it on the ground. It's not that big of a deal, just like weightlifting. I mean, ideally you try not to drop it on the ground, but if you fail, it's not that big of a deal. You can still just drop it on the ground. You're able to move a heavy weight explosively without having to be really good at snatches, cleans, and jerks. So while you're learning that, this is a great option to perfect until you're so good at that you don't need to worry about one arm variations, and you can just stick with the barbell, and that'll take you a lot further than dumbbell snatch as well. So I hope that helps. If you have any more questions about dumbbell cleans, dumbbell snatches, or any variation of weightlifting, feel free to go to barbellshrugged.com, click the Ask a Question tab at the top of the page, fill out that short survey, and we can do a daily best or technique WOD or whatever we do very soon.
Up loving force.
Oh, really?
I was like, well, I'm not real big on pre-workouts.
Yeah.
I don't
like
think
stimulants.
Yeah, that's the other reason I don't take it.
But it's only 100 milligrams of caffeine. It's not that much, so it's like the perfect amount.
I wish they made a Force
Take it on
XL.
Saturday mornings.
Like a Force XL would be fun for me. Like, just dial everything up a notch, so I don't have to eat 4 packages of it. Just show me an option for like scaling up. More drugs. Fuck you.
RX Plus.
Drugs plus.
And we're back.
All right, we ready?
Eugenics. Drugs. Take your training at the next level with fucking illegal drugs.
How'd you lose your Progenics sponsorship?
I'm just pitching ideas. This may not be the best idea.
You might want to edit some of this out, CTC.
It's just marketing. Yeah. Now go.
All right, welcome back to Barbell Shrugged. I'm still here with Chris Moore and Doug Larson as the co-hosts. I'm Mike Bledsoe, interviewing Michelle Kinney.
Hey.
Whoa. Before we go any further, just want to remind you guys we're doing a Brian McKenzie interview September 21st, 2013 at Faction. He'll be in Memphis at CrossFit Chickasaw doing the CrossFit Endurance Certification Seminar. And then he's going to hop over to Faction with us Saturday night. We're going to have a good time, ask some questions. Yeah. It'll be fun.
You're going to get a chance to ask Brian McKenzie some questions. You have his attention, so don't
Not do that.
not do it. Yeah.
I don't
understand why you wouldn't be there.
I don't want to hear any runners complaining about no run coaching going on.
Yeah.
Because
you got
the
your
best
premier
guy in the
ones
world's
coming.
going to be in town.
No doubt.
Rabble.
Yes.
All right, so we actually talked a lot about at the first half of this. We talked a lot about just mental preparation and just accepting defeat and kind of just moving on mentally. Like, what are some things that changed about your training? You switched over to CJ Martin.
Episode 67.
Yeah. Right before 4 or 5 months before regionals, so
Right.
not really a big chance to like fill in those gaps, like you were saying. Like, what were those gaps that you were talking about, and how did you go about changing them, or what do you think CJ planned for you?
Partially having faith in my coach and trusting everything that was written and just giving it my best effort every day. So whatever was on the spreadsheet to do for the day, I did to the T. So it was just like, I never questioned it. I just, having faith in the program goes a long way. So it's like, which I didn't have up until that point. Knowing that
did you have like instant faith with CJ, or is it something that had to build over time?
It built over time. I didn't necessarily. I don't know enough about it to question. I could kind of see where his programming was going, and I was lifting a lot, and I was like, seems right. I should be doing that.
You guys didn't sit down ahead of time and like talk through the whole structure. Like, here's kind of like how I'm mapping out your training and why I'm doing it the way we're doing it.
No, no. It was. When we sat down for my initial interview, he just had a lot of great questions to ask me about my life. It was like the first time a coach, it was like your life, like Chris was saying, it plays a part. So how much time can you devote to this? Where are your priorities? Is your first priority your family, your job, and then your dog, and then CrossFit, or where are you at with that? So that was really eye-opening. So I think that trust and faith started from the moment I started talking to him, and it just kept duplicating until going to the athlete camp out there. It was just like, this is truly something I believe in and can get behind, and I'm fortunate to be a part of the Sea of Green as an honorary member. So we've worked on a lot of barbell movements. I was squatting and Olympic lifting 4 out of 5 training days for the entire year. So
Yeah.
I was lifting. A barbell was in my hand a lot. My hands, I had calluses in weird places, and wasn't from pull-ups.
Yeah, a lot of times people who maybe aren't as good at weightlifting, like, I'm not that good at it. I should probably do it more, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I'm like,
Okay.
You got to be snatching and clean and jerking like at least 3 or 4 days a week, or
Yeah.
else that's a skill that's not going to develop.
Yeah, and much to my surprise, even approaching the games, I would front squat in the morning and back squat in the afternoon, and I was just like, this is a lot of squat volume.
You're a weightlifter.
But it worked. I mean, I was like, there was never a second where I was like, I'm questioning this. I don't know if this is what I should be doing. So, I mean, I kept seeing numbers go in the right direction, and so kept going with it.
Yeah, we interviewed Max El-Haj last week.
Oh, yeah.
And that was one of the things he said is one of the things that make the best performing athletes, not always, but tend to not ask that many questions. Right? And he's like they just do it blindly, and then give good feedback. You know? You can give good feedback without knowing exactly why or everything's happening or exactly where you're going.
Yeah.
So
that's why I asked him to program for me, so I don't have to worry about that part. I mean, it's a lot to worry about going into the gym. Like, well, this is what I programmed for myself, and then you walk out of the gym, and then have those questions in your mind. Was that the right thing? I'm like, every time, I'm like, that was a good day. Even if it was a bad session, it was a good day. So
yeah, a lot of time and effort goes into program design. I know I was talking to the guys before. It was like it probably takes me like an hour a week to program like a week for an individual.
Yeah.
To put just time and care into it.
Yeah.
But then if I was programming for myself, it would probably take longer. Halfway through the week, I would change it.
Yeah, totally.
You
quit second guess yourself all the time.
Yeah,
at least I do.
not possible.
Yeah. I just like relying on somebody I trust.
Makes it nice.
That's one thing people don't realize about like individual coaching, like one-on-one in-person coaching. The standard is if you coach someone for an hour, there's probably another hour where you're not with that person, that you're planning the training session and getting ready for that training session. And the same thing goes for online. Like there's so much time put into someone's program when you're not actually speaking to that person, and that person's like, I mean, online or remote coaching, obviously you're not like one-to-one, but there's a lot more kind of in the background, in the shadows, that people will never ever see until they actually get into a situation where they're coaching a lot of athletes, and they just run out of time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
you do all your programming in the bubble bath, right? That's that hour.
Mostly in the bubble bath. I got like a little thing that makes my iPad, waterproof, and that's where I do all my programming.
And all that.
Well, that helps repel the water.
So actually, I got a question. So, do you feel like missing that year, not making it to the games in 2012? You feel like not making it to the games actually motivated you to the point where you placed much better than you would have if you would have gone to the games in 2012? Like, you got 8th place because you were super motivated to make it to the games and then to fix all your goats, so to speak. You feel like if you would have made it to the games in 2012, like you would have made it in 2013 also, maybe not even placed quite as high because that motivation wasn't there to the same extent?
Definitely. The motivation was in the fact that after I missed 2012, I understood how much it meant to me to be at the CrossFit Games. I'd made it every year I'd tried. I'd done fairly well every time. So you could have caught me in 2012 prior to regionals and be like, how much does it mean to you to go to the CrossFit Games? And I'd be like, oh man, everything. After missing, like, I understand how much it meant to me.
Everything squared.
Yeah. I mean, you can be dramatic and say everything, but like how much it was interesting to find how much like it meant to me to get back there and just to be involved in that and feel the feeling of walking out now into the soccer field or into the tennis stadium, and just being there was such a huge accomplishment. So my approach to 2013 was just simply making it there, not necessarily a certain level finish, but just simply getting back. That was my goal 2013. And then I finished 8th, which was icing on that cake. Like, so throughout the games in this year, like, I'd have we opened with the swim bar muscle up, and I finished 25th in that, and I was like, cool, like I swam faster than I've ever swam. Like, I'm not a good swimmer, and I just I did awesome. Like, my PR 500 meters or 500 yard swim, it's embarrassing to say, was around 15 minutes. And
I don't know what that means. It sounds fine by me.
If
know.
anybody's been in the water without floaties, they understand how it's a little
I
bit.
thought you were fucking dead by then.
I was, and then with the bar muscle ups, so my time for that event, it was 30 bar muscle ups and 500 yard swim. It was like 18:40:42. So I clearly swam faster because there's no way I did those 30 bar muscle ups in less than 4 minutes. So
Potentiating.
Yeah.
Those bar muscle ups were.
I guess this all begs the question, Michelle. So, are you going to shit the bed next year because you made it again? What changes?
What changes?
What changes? What do you learn now? What will be different now than when in 2012? But that's where you're at now, right? Like, what was the difference? What
I think the key might be failing every other year.
Shit the bed.
I hope I
do it.
don't. But
That
yeah.
way, if you do fail next year, you can be like, it's all part of the plan.
Michelle Kinney dropping a bar on her face.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? Confusion.
I must learn this lesson.
Mostly self-flagellation
Yeah.
and masochism is what I'm at this
Pretty
time,
much,
Coach.
because those are a dark 2 months for me after missing. It was horrible. I've never been that kind of place before, but and in 2000, during the whole games of 2013, I sat there and saw people, whether they were veterans, mostly it's the rookies getting bent out of shape about a bad event, but I definitely saw some veterans getting bent out of shape. I'm like, this is a long goddamn weekend. Like it's one event makes no difference, and we saw that with Rich Froning and
the most part, he knew that.
And he knew that.
Like,
and so
why am I going to try to do so awesome at this thing that I don't care about? That's not going to matter towards the end of the event anyway.
Yeah, and I finished. Yeah, exactly. So I finished 25th in the swim, and then 17th, and then 15th in the row parts. And after day one, I was around 20th, and I was like, that's top half. That's pretty damn good. You know, like if I stay in the top half, I'll be happy. And then throughout the week, every workout, like I was like, cool, I did awesome. Or, you know, I did the best I could. Tied a PR clean and jerk. Dead dog tired. I was like, everything went awesome. So, and then at the end of the very final event, I went in 11th and came out 8th. And I was like, that's amazing. So it was just how I approached the games, and then knowing how much it meant to me. So like when things got tough, it was like, this is a big deal to you. Don't give up on it, and you know, kind of staying focused with that.
So it doesn't sound like you set goals depending on like placings because
you
because you
can't.
don't. Yeah, because you can't because there's too many variables, right? Like, as
Exactly.
we were talking about earlier. And so, what is your goal right now?
My goal right now is to continue to have fun. You know, I went to Big Sky and had fun with that, and then I've got
The G team won.
Yeah, the McGee team wad was a lot of fun. Throwing people over the wall was awesome.
CTP cam number what?
Yeah,
18.
going to a front range competition this weekend in Denver, so that will be, you know, just starts with a ruck run, so secretly happy about that. And then or not so secretly, and then I've
Not
got
now.
That's a competition coming up this weekend.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So just having fun with those. And my training, I probably will get back on board with CJ probably in a few weeks, I guess.
So you've been kind of on your own, just having a good time.
Yeah, he's got a new baby boy, so I don't want to trouble him too much, but I also wanted to have that good reset button and not, you know, get crazy about training. It's a long season. I needed a break mentally.
Don't rush back into it.
No, trust me, I'm not. Everyone's like, when do you get back to training? I feel like everybody else is rushing me back into it. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like going up to the games, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait till I have like, you know, time when I can go ride my bike if I want to and not be dog tired.
I was talking to McGee the other day, Mike McGolder.
Yeah.
He was like, last week he was super excited. He's like,
He's
I'm
back at it,
gonna
yeah.
start hitting it again. He got real excited. And he comes to me like 2 days ago. He goes, yeah, I'm back on break.
Yeah.
He's like, we thought I was recovered, but obviously I'm not. So I got 4 days of no training. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Which must drive him crazy.
He's got a lot of energy. When we were at his birthday party, he was like, yeah, I started back. But then I was really tired today. And I was like, dude, don't rush into it. You just had he had to experience an injury and had a lot of stressful, you know, issues going on. So I'm like,
first games, a lot of peaking going on, a lot of emotional costs.
Oh, for sure. So I was like, just, you know, ride it, enjoy it. I mean, we literally have a ton of time between now and the Open, and I don't know, I'm lifting enough to maintain that strength, or, you know, try to work on, you know, some ollie technique stuff on my own, and then do a little conditioning here and there. But ultimately, I'm like, what do I feel like doing today? So
I didn't know you skateboarded.
yes, I have like
Ollie
4 skateboards.
It's an ollie joke. Ollie is a maneuver in skateboarding. For
But
those
I do
who
have
are
4
"What's a
skateboards."
I was caught really off guard. I was like, how did that even get in the conversation?
I'm just
Yeah, I was
he might
confused.
throw a little picture of Ollie here,
Yeah.
maybe if the technology allows, like a little a guy going a little whoop with the board.
Right.
I'm going to show you my skateboard when we walk out.
All right.
Skateboard's pretty cool. What kind of changes did you make to your recovery and like to your eating habits and everything that's not training that you think helped? Anything?
I ate less clean. So I didn't really.
Something that most athletes eventually come to the
feel
conclusion is a
bad.
good idea.
Yeah,
Don't
no.
feel bad about saying that. That's
No, I
pretty
don't.
common,
But people, oh, you must be super clean. I'm like, I had 2 beers last night and cheesy poofs. I don't know what you had.
Sounds like a fucking awesome Saturday night.
It's the story of a lot of games athletes, it seems.
So, well, regionals.
What'd you call it earlier? Dirty paleo is your favorite word?
Dirty paleo.
Yeah, that's what I like to call it.
Yeah, I guess that's
kind of
me.
That's kind of what I started doing with my son. My son is now 2 years old, and we're trying to like as much paleo things as possible. But good luck making a kid eat that stuff. It's like, yeah, paleo. If he needs goldfish crackers, give him the fucking goldfish crackers, man.
That'll shut him up. Shut him up.
Yeah.
Because he's burning at least as many calories as Michelle is every
Totally.
day.
Easily.
Yeah.
So basically
You talking shit about my kid, yo? I'll straight punch you with a handful of goldfish crackers.
I'm just grab yours. So more or less you're eating more carbohydrates is the easy way to say that?
Pretty much. And
Just more calories in general?
And
yeah,
beer.
exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, well, pretty. Yeah, I try to.
Much more alcohol.
Tons more.
I hear gluten's a bad thing. Should I not be drinking as much beer? Does it not matter at all? Should I just drink beer and shut up? Is that how it goes?
Don't let him derail you. Just keep going.
Although I was out to dinner one night and there's some cyclists out there, and of course they're known for their health. But there was a study that beer's just as good of a recovery beverage as chocolate milk, and I was like, what?
Neither are good recovery.
That's exactly what I said.
I saw that single study a long time ago too.
But yeah, I ate a ton more carbohydrates and I didn't get too uptight about my diet. I just for the most part tried to eat as clean as I could, but just ate whatever.
What's your favorite carbs to eat after training?
I still like sweet potatoes a lot, and I got kind of into the baby food just with like easily accessible, especially if I had to start coaching later on. But sweet potatoes are still my favorite go-to carb, but like I wasn't shying away from rice and white potatoes. I'd eat like regular white potatoes a lot too. So
you still avoid like gluten heavy stuff?
Not really.
No. Okay. It doesn't bother you?
Sometimes it does, and then I knock back, whatever. If I start to notice that I'm eating too much because I'm feeling bad or seemingly more inflamed than usual, then I'll cut back on what I'm eating. I basically like just adjust as I feel necessary.
Did you ever go through a period where you're like strict paleo or lower carb, and then one day you're like, I've just got to eat more, and then you start eating more, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
you can tell a big difference?
Yeah, definitely. I would get too small. Like I was like down to 130, low 130s, weight wise, going in 2012 because I was trying
being
to.
a competitive female CrossFit athlete, that's small. Like you're a smaller athlete than most of the people on the field.
And visually it looks like I'm a shrimp out there, but it turns out everybody's posting their weight at 135. I'm like, bitches, I'm 140. Like, I weigh 140 pounds. I was like, you are not 130. Like, or maybe you are. I don't know where I'm keeping my weight. I don't know, but it's,
I've definitely seen some girls just post up whatever weight they think they should be and then not worry about it.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're talking about girls.
Yeah. Well, the guys too. I think some of those, it's like, there's like every male competitor is 195 pounds. I was like, that's interesting. Nobody's over 200.
They don't want to see themselves being too big?
I don't know if you have this like, I snatched so many pounds over body weight, or I don't know what the reason is, but I'm like, I'm 140.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know.
Yeah, if anyone ever asks me about my Olympic lifts, I make sure to let them know what weight I was at when I hit that.
Yeah.
Lie a little, whatever.
Well, it does make a difference. Like, so like Elizabeth Akinwale, she's like, she snatches 185. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, oh, that's how much she weighs, or she weighs 175, or it's just like, I'm like, oh, okay.
That makes more sense.
Talking shit about Elizabeth, huh?
No, she's incredible. She kicked my ass.
Just a joke. I'm just joking.
No, I don't like to talk smack.
That's big and proud. Like, oh, I squat at XX at 10 times this. Like, you weigh 130 pounds, asshole. I mean, it's not too hard to do. Yeah. The fatter you get, the more that shit doesn't work that way. Yeah. Like, of course you can lift a lot. It's like saying, of course you can do lots of pull-ups. You don't weigh anything.
Yeah.
Well, like the world record clean and jerk for the super heavies is like body weight and a half, but for like the super light guys, it's like triple body weight.
Yeah. That's just how it shakes out, man.
Far from linear.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're slowing down.
That's right.
Speaking of shaking out,
All right, we're going to wrap this show up. Michelle, anything you would like to promote, plug, sponsors, whatever?
Is there any big events happening at your gym that we want to?
Maybe in a couple weeks.
There's a few weeks. Brian McKenzie, if you haven't heard already, will be coaching an endurance seminar during September 21st and 22nd at CrossFit Chickasaw. So be sure and get to that. He's doing the live podcast with the Barbell Shrugged dudes at Faction that Saturday night. So, and that's going to be something you don't want to miss.
Hookers
for sure.
and cocaine and Brian and drugs and talking on a pod. Not all that stuff, but it'll be fun. Come on out.
Yeah, no doubt. And then just thanks to Progenics and Pure Pharma for sticking by me even when I didn't make the CrossFit Games in 2012.
And CJ.
Oh yeah, CJ. He got a lot of props. No, he's the best.
He's a good guy.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. See you next week.
All right.
Cheers.
Boom.